Hey Mo, what's your whiskey of the year? Mo, don't ignore me. Rude. Hello everyone and welcome to John's Drams, the channel where I, John, have a dram. But today we're going to be talking about whiskies instead, because that's healthy. I have not talked about what my Whisky of the Year for 2023 is, and some might be saying I'm leaving it just a tickle too late, given it is now 7 days into 2024. But that's not going to stop me, because I have thoughts in a book, and I'm going to read those thoughts out. Now then, how these things usually go, these videos, is there's sort of like a... If anyone's watching Channel 4 in the mid to late noughties, you'll be familiar with this concept of having a top 50 soap opera moments or whatever, and they would very, very, very slowly count down to their number one pick. I'm not all about that, so my Whisky of the Year this year is the Ledaig 18. And we're going to talk about some of the ones that didn't quite make it but were very close, and also why the Ledaig 18 is my pick of the year. Quite an unconventional one, for me anyway. Not unconventional in and of itself, it's actually extremely conventional, but I don't normally go for the mid to higher price brackets for these kinds of things, but we'll get into it. But whiskies, yes. I have a list here. I love a list. I'm going to be talking about some... So what I did in preparation for this is I watched a few of my contemporaries' videos about what their whiskies of the year were, and there's one here that I think the rest of the internet agrees on, and the rest of it is like throwing a spanner through a windshield. It's little all over the place, but hey, what would you expect from me? So let's kick off with the most conventional one, I suppose. Ardbeg Wee Beastie. Now then, I'm calling this one out more from a commercial side of things. It's a whiskey that a lot of people have responded to very well in the last year of me running a pub in Edinburgh. Ardbeg, obviously, well-known name. The Wee Beastie, I recall at the time, ages ago now, when they were first launching the Wee Beastie, and there was a little bit of controversy, might not be quite the right word, but there was a little bit of a knockback over whether they should be releasing a 5-year-old, why is it basically the same price as the 10-year-old, and all this kind of stuff. And with the benefit of hindsight, the two do hit differently. The Wee Beastie is a bit of a bastard. The 10 is... I mean, it's not mild by any stretch of the imagination, but it has very different characteristics that the Wee Beastie doesn't. It's got a... I don't know how to describe this, but it's got more of an edge to it. It's got more sort of a rich barbecue-y smoke, whereas you've got more of a tarry, oily smoke coming off of the 10. And obviously the actual effect of the smoke just comes through a little bit stronger with it being younger. It's been very well received. I've had a few of them as post-work drams myself, and I've been thoroughly enjoying them. And it was up for consideration, because I like me a smoky boy. I suppose we should quickly segue onto my winner from last year, which was the Old Ballantruan. I've banged on about the Old Ballantruan for a good long while now. But I wanted to quickly just kind of bring it up again, because it's had a very successful year. Certainly from, again, a retail standpoint for ourselves, because we keep it basically as a not a house pour, but a core on the shelves now, because it just does very well. It does very well in two aspects. One, it hits a lot of the, oh, what have you got that I probably can't get in insert country here, because we do get a fair few tourists in, because it's Edinburgh, the castle's just there, and there's a hotel across the road. We get plenty of tourists in. Been getting more in since I took over, which... but the Old Ballantruan as well, it's not just one of those ones where it's like, oh, that'll do. People have been having a genuinely visceral reaction to it. People have... I've sold a fair few bottles. well, like, people have come in, tried it, and then gone off, bought it, come back and been like, oh yeah, I bought a bottle of that, and I've been like, yeah, I get no commission. I should maybe sort something with that at this point, because it's getting a little bit silly. But yeah, it's a lovely whiskey, and Angus Dundee, the parent company, we are going to be talking about them a little bit more as well, because they have a couple of entries in here. Again, not affiliated with them in any respect, it's just, I like their work, let's put it that way. So yeah, if somebody can tell me why everyone seems to be sleeping on the old Ballantruan, it genuinely drives me up the wall now, because if it was the case that, like, I'd been giving it to people and they were like, oh, that's not very nice, or I don't like it, or, you know, they just hadn't been... Oh, for fuck's sake, here we go again. There was a bit of a camera malfunction there. I was on about the old Ballantruan. What I'll do is I'll just, like, have it go to black for a minute and then play the audio over it and then snip out the bit where I was fucking about with the camera to get it to work again. Technology. Yeah, so let's move on, because I've got a long list of things to get through still. Glencadam PX. This nearly took it this year. It's the Glencadam Reserva. It's part of their reserve range. They've also got, so they had a sherry one out a while ago, which was in the blue packaging, and then they brought out a port one and a red wine one. And they've both done very well, but the PX has kind of stood head and shoulders above them. We got it in just to kind of give it a go, because I think we couldn't get our hands on the 10-year-old, because the supplier we use, their way of doing stocking is how any sane supplier would do it, is they'd be like, oh, we've only got 2 bottles of this left and people are buying X number of bottles on a regular basis, let's get some more of that in. And what they actually do instead is they go, oh, we've only got 2 in. Right, well, let's all go home and come back in 2 days, and then it all sells out, and they go, oh, that's crazy. Well, I guess we'll maybe order some more of that in like 2 weeks, and then eventually they get it back in, and then it sells out immediately, and then rinse and repeat. It's just kind of insane. But that's by the by. So the Glencadam PX, that's beautiful juice. It's really, really stunning. Stewed plums, raisin, apricot. If anyone's ever had the blueberry muller corner, this is weird, I know, but it's like, it's got that lovely, jammy, bright, fruity compote, but specifically the blueberry one. The strawberry one, I can never get on board with that one. They brought the Mississippi mud pies back, haven't they? They're not the same. Where's this going? Yeah, the blueberry compote. It's got elements of that to it in the Glencadam PX. It's nice. It's really nice. I did a video about whether it was nice or not. Spoilers, the answer's yes. It's really nice. We were only meant to get 1 bottle in. I think we're on like our 6th. It's replaced the Glencadam 10 on the shelves. We don't get the Glencadam 10 in anymore. We get this in because it sells better and it's lovely. It hits a different note. It absolutely hits a different note. I did try and ask when I was at Glasgow and I was at the store, I was like, can you tell me how old it is? And they were like, I can't really, but it's above 4. So, it's not the youngest it could be, I think is what they wanted me to know about that. So I will take that. They were also really fucking busy. They were bloody... It was a sea of middle-aged white men. They were so busy. God bless them. Next, I'm going to talk about a Glenglassaugh. The Glenglassaugh Sand End, specifically. Middle of the year, they did a refresh for the Glenglassaugh. Was it the middle of the year? It was about July, August time, wasn't it? Yeah, it's about the middle of the year. They did a refresh for the Glenglassaugh, and they brought out these new, beautiful, sort of twisty bottles. I think they were going for the ocean, but it kind of looks a bit like the CGI out of the Thing well, it's not a remake, the 2011 Thing film that used really shitty CGI on top of the practical effects they'd already filmed, which found out about that not so long ago, and that's just ugh, insanity. Politics of filming. They had a mate who was in the CGI business, I think, and it was just like, hey, we'll chuck you some money, mate, and they ended up making the film worse. Anyway, it wasn't a great film to begin with. So they released the 12, the Port Soy, which is a port cask finish that's slightly peated. The 12, if memory serves, is bourbon, sherry, and I want to say manzanilla in there. Not so sure about that last one. Not so sure about any of them, actually. Hopefully they're right. And then we've got the Sandend, which is all bourbon barrel, I believe. It's the highest ABV of the three. This one comes in at 50.5%. And having tried all three, this is the one I actually like the most. I thought it would be the Port Soy, because peated and port cask. On board with that. The 12, bizarrely, is 45%. Very odd ABV. You were there, Rachel. You were there. That having been said, I've tried the 12, and actually it's a lovely liquid. So maybe that extra 1% just completely ruined it? Who can say? But, I mean, it would have been nice to see it. But I think there are certain tick boxes when it comes to the whiskey geek community, and a 46% or above liquid is unfortunately one of them. Deciding to have it at 45 will probably have done a bit of damage. Just going to put it out there. But this one's lovely. Really tropical fruit notes, so passion fruit, papaya, pineapple, but as well, something that I've not been finding a lot of people talking about, a definite coconut element, which is unusual, which you don't really get in whiskies very often. I've been banging on about it, and people are like, oh yeah, I can kind of get that. It's kind of like a coconut macaroon. Sort of like a toasted coconut element, which I really vibed with and I really enjoyed it. Add a little bit of water, it goes away, but the fruit's still there. But when you've got it at full strength, there's a little bit of toasted coconut to it, and I really like that because I really fucking like coconut. They've discontinued the dark chocolate bounty, can you believe that? And Caramac, they're gone as well. If anyone told me aging would be like this. Anyway, where are we up to? Another new release. Not a new distillery, however. They've been around for a minute now. Eden Mill. Again, Glasgow Whisky Festival. I was at the Eden Mill stall and I was like, I've never tried any of their little 20 centilitre things because they're usually about 200 quid for 20 centilitres of bourbon cask whiskey from just outside of Cooper. So, So I went along to the table and they had two new, not particularly attractive, it has to be said, bottles. And I was like, what are these? And there's a sherry oak and there's a bourbon oak, and they are their new core releases. Ooh. Eden Mill have been knocking out whiskey for fucking years. How it took them this long to do a core release, I couldn't tell you. There's probably logistics involved. There's probably something that I'm completely missing. But good lord, this has taken a minute. And they're nice. I'm a sherry fiend. I prefer the bourbon cask. So much so, actually, it was sticking with me on... I've already talked about my experience at the Glasgow Whisky Festival. It wasn't the Glasgow Whisky Festival's fault. I didn't have a good time. It was everything else in my life going on at that particular stage of moment in time conspiring to ruin the day, basically. But I do remember the Eden Mill Bourbon Cask being absolutely lovely. We've got it in at the pub. It's been doing very well for itself. We've sold half a bottle in one day, so it can't just be me. It's a very, very nice liquid. And it wasn't in contention to take Whisky of the Year, but it was certainly on the consideration list, if that makes sense. This is what this is. It's kind of like the swingers of 2023. Don't say swingers, John. That's strange out of context. I'm trying to figure out how to start the sentence and I've got nothing, so I'll just dive in with the Tomintoul Small Batch White Port. Tomintoul and Glencadam are both doing a lot of things with wine finishes at the minute, and it makes me excited for them doing some stuff with Old Ballantruan, of which I hear they're actually thinking about. And I say that because I want us to turn fucking Old Ballantruan, goddammit. And they play around with sort of, white port could be good actually with that one. Anyway, they released a series of these. They did a cognac, a Caribbean rum, and the white port. They also did a Merlot finish. They did 4. And we ended up getting all 4 in at different times. We got the cognac in later, but we got the initial 3 in of the rum, the white port, and the wine. And the white port just walked it for us. It's a little on the simple side. It's definitely got this overcoat of white chocolate sweetness to it. But sometimes that's what you're looking for. And we discovered that it's a fantastic entry level. It's great for the tourists or people who are wanting to like dip a pinky into the waters of whiskey and they're scared because they think it all tastes like burn and horror because they tried Famous Grouse when they were 14 and it ruined it for life. I will always bring Famous Grouse up as that example because you know I'm right. This was not that. This was gentle, easy drinking, just a sort of velvety overcoat of syrupy loveliness is how I can describe it. Apricots, white chocolate, just sort of candy, basically. I think we ended up getting 3 bottles of it, and my assistant manager also bought a bottle for himself because he just loved it so much. Don't have to run the gamut of every flavour in the universe to enjoy a whiskey. It can do 1 or 2 things, but do them very well. And it's fine. It's okay. Let people enjoy things. On that one, we're going to go English for a minute, said the Englishman. Excuse me. Wireworks. We've talked about Wireworks previously. We did their first release on the channel about 18 months ago now, something like that. And they released a batch of Necessary Evil Stout Cask Finish. And I missed out on it. It sold out. And they've done another batch. And it hasn't sold out this time. And I got to try in Glasgow. And it was fantastic. So I got a bottle. And then I drank some more of it. And it's really, really yummy. And I like it. There's a burnt toast element to it, which I shouldn't like, but I kind of do. Bitter chocolate, a little bit of sort of almost a jalapeno kick to it. You know, I've got like that pickly spice that you get sometimes from jalapenos that have come out of a jar. Bit of that. Bit of camphor smoke. It's woody. It's got a slight fruitiness to it, but you're brooding dark chocolate, burnt toast and wood and smoke without it being smoky is an interesting note of that, actually. It's tastes more like you're licking the embers than it does inhaling the smoke, if that makes any sense. Probably not, but it's nice. It also comes in a pretty bottle, so that's good. Let's talk about the Ledaig 18. I feel like I've dragged this out for long enough. Let's talk about Ledaig 18. I've sat on that one for a good long while, Ledaig 18. Not just in terms of this video, but just in general. I only tried it, I want to say 7 or 8 months ago now. Might have been sooner, actually. Just up the road at Diggers. Frequent haunt of whiskey geeks. I never seem to run into them. I'm in Diggers quite a bit. I never seem to... There's always folk in there, like having sort of whiskey parties, and I never seem to bump into any of them. It's like the scene out of Deadpool 2, where he's saying, oh, you never see the X-Men in there, and then just in the background, they're just closing the doors behind. I feel like that's what's going on with me. Try not to read too much into it, but I was having a bit of a bender in there, to be honest, because we're in the middle of trying to flog my dad's flat, which, if you've ever tried to sell the home of a dead relative and then have discovered some of the utterly insane things in English property law, I mean, I knew it was going to be not great, but fuck me. So I just needed to get fucked off my face, to be completely blunt with you. For those of you casually following my last year, it's been a bit of a bumpy one. I'm just going to, again, put that out there. And that was probably about as bad as things got. And out of that horror, I tried lots of whiskies. And one of the ones that I tried was the Ledaig, and it stopped me from having such a shit moment. And I went from drinking to drink, and it turned into, oh, this is really lovely, and I want to spend some time with it. So that was a whiskey that managed to break me out of a stupor. And it's probably the nicest thing I can say about the Ledaig 18, because that would have taken some doing. The mental state I was in at the time, I wasn't doing great at all. This got dark. I am consciously aware that this got dark, but it's relevant to the story, unfortunately. We ended up getting a bottle, and I've had it a couple more times, and I have solidified my opinion on it, that it is just on another plane. I feel bad for myself for not going near it sooner. I was a little bit surprised, actually, when I did finally get it. I was like, wait, why haven't I gone toward this? It's this wonderful melding of well-aged liquid, a good smattering of bonfire smoke, and lovely, rich custard cream, cocoa, plums and apples, and just a very powerful overall. It's a confident whiskey. It's got a confident flavour to it, and I've been thoroughly enjoying it for the past 6 to 8 months, however long it's been that I've been getting acquainted with it. It's lovely stuff. So that is my Whisky of the Year. A quick thing on this as well, obviously, because I don't want to leave it on that point of, oh, everything was crap last year. I'm doing a lot better. Just want to put that out there. I'm doing a lot better, actually. And a big part of that is the fact that I actually went away for Christmas this year. I was invited to Northern Ireland by a friend of mine and her husband to stay with her parents, and I basically spent 10 days in Coleraine and Belfast and other parts of... The weather was terrible. It didn't matter, because I had no responsibilities for 10 days. The pub looked after itself, everyone was firing on all cylinders, they all knew what they had to do, and they just got on with it, and it was fine. And I only had like 2 texts, nothing went wrong, really, so I was able to actually get away properly and just relax. Everything on my dad's estate is boxed off and finished and done, so that's not being dragged into this year, which I'm not happy with how it happened, but I'm happy it's over. So this year, there's no baggage. And I feel a lot better, which means this can start getting picked back up again, because there's now time in my life for it again. So that's exciting, and I'm looking forward to doing it. Incidentally, actually, I've got a bottle here. Speaking of whiskies of the year, this is McLean's Nose. I'm sure none of you need told why I've got a bottle of that. I've been getting introduced to that. I have some thoughts about it, and I will be filming that. Not today, because I'm having an allergic reaction to the cat, so I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed already, do that. I'm not going to go into my stats and tell you that, did you know that 90% of you aren't subscribed? You bastards, how dare you? If you want to keep up to date with this year, I promise stuff will actually come out this year, so that'll be fun. Please do. I wouldn't lie to you, I'm wearing pink corduroy. Have you ever been lied to by a man in pink corduroy? I don't think so. Thank you so much for watching. What are your picks for Whisky of the Year for 2023? Did you have any visceral reactions to any? Are you surprised? I didn't mention Glengarry. What the fuck am I doing? Glengarry was on the list as well. That was the one that everyone agreed on. Knew there was one I'd missed. Glengarry's lovely. You should drink Glengarry 12. It's been a minute. I'm a little out of practice. It'll be fun. Thumb the video and subscribe and do all that stuff and talk to me down in the thing. Do you want me to just do a video of Mo for 40 minutes doing cat stuff? The answer is yes. Thank you so much for watching, and do join me next time where I'll be drinking or talking about a whiskey or having a... what are my antihistamines?